It used to be that we hid terms from you like atmospheric river and bomb cyclone in books where you couldn't find them. And that's changed over the years. Now these terms are around. They're out in the internet and this and that. It's already pushing on to 10:30 in the morning here. I'm getting started on recording a new video because there's so much to talk about this week. There's going to be a lot to talk about. I think we'll be putting out content fairly regularly over the next few days. We may even go live at some point as that storm starts to really impact places. So we have, of course, the massive storm going on today in the prairies out in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. That's on. We have all kinds of new special weather statements for BC. It's looking more and more like that snow is going to try to squeeze into southern BC. And it's going to fight this cold that's here. It's only 12 below still at 10:18 as I'm hitting record on November 19th. It was down to 15. It was down to almost 16 below this morning. So it was very, very cold here. The cold air has arrived and it's completely crappy. So it's fighting, and this storm is going to want to push in against it. So it's going to create some winds, it's going to create some friction, and we may have some snow events still force its way into southern BC as that warm sector pushes to try to make its way in. Anyways, this is the Bad News Show, and I am Joey, only the Caribou Weather Dude. Let's go. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen. Get on. Wow. I'll watch the video later. They dry mopping this. Some hillbilly weather forecasting for you up here in the mountains of Wells, British Columbia, Caribou Mountains of BC here at 3,935 feet above sea level is where I live. And I am a country boy forecaster here who tries to keep it simple for you, tries to keep it understandable for all you folks in the BC interior and beyond. So you can see how all that precipitation right now is going on in northern Ontario. Lots of rain, but pretty wild ride there out in Lake Superior today because of the gales of November. Lots of snow still going on today. Now it's in full effect. It's fully swinging on through the Manitoba border, Saskatchewan border, that whole eastern side of Sask, that western side of Manitoba, BC. Not too bad right now. We got nice cold air settling in, but it's fighting. You can see this contact here where the stationary fronts are sort of pushing against each other. They can't really go anywhere. And here's our new bomb cyclone who's forming. We have the cold sector through the United States with some flurries in behind that, cold air, and then we have these the warm sector down here, and in behind that, where the cold sector is butting up against, is where we're going to have our severe thunderstorm outbreaks in the United States today. Thank you, Diggy's Diner, for buying me my weather station here in Wells, BC. Go to Diggy's Diner if you ever can. So still 11.6 here at time of recording. But as you can see, last night it got down right low, got down to 15.8 below. That is the coldest we have seen yet this year here in Wells. So coldest night so far in 2024, at least maybe not in 2024. January, February, March, but definitely 2024 for this coming fall. It is fall still, right? It's not winter time yet. So people are saying, well, it's just winter. Well, you're wrong. It's not just winter. It's fall right now. It is winter weather, though. So it's a mess out there today. We'll get to BC. We'll start east first and work our way west because there's so much to talk about. Wind warning going on there in the very, very eastern tips of Quebec. All up along the Hudson Bay in Quebec, wind warning going on there too. 90-kilometer-hour winds possible. It's Lake Superior right now. Rainfall warning going up there. So we saw on the graph, 70-kilometer-hour winds possible there. So getting a lot of rain, probably very windy out on Lake Superior right now. In southeastern Manitoba, it's still a special weather statement there, expecting 15 to 25 centimeters. Significant rain, I should say, 15 to 25 millimeters. So there's a contact there between where that warm sector is and where that cold sector is butting up against it, right? But you could see snowfall accumulations at nighttime as this cold air kind of juts itself a little bit more to the east. And meanwhile, winter storm warning continues, 70-kilometer-hour winds, 15 to 30 centimeters of snow in southwestern Manitoba, and go up to the northwestern side, winter storm warning there, 15 to 25 centimeters, 50 to 60-kilometer winds, and as well snowfall warning in the Thompson still, 15 to 20 centimeters, maybe 25 today going on. Could be continuing till Wednesday evening, so for a good length of time for you. Down in southern Saskatchewan, 5 to 15 centimeters, 60 to 80 kilometer winds, really, really gusting. 20 to 40 centimeters up in more northern on the eastern side of Saskatchewan there, so some big-time snowfall totals still possible out there. Some places, they said, could be seeing up to 50 centimeters. I'm not seeing that reflect in today's statements. 15 centimeters seems to be given in a lot of places, 70, 80-kilometer winds, but still, that's going to pile snow up in a lot of places. So you're still going to get some very big snowfall totals in through there. So make sure you're checking into Weather Center in Manitoba there and see what's up with what's going on in your area. Meanwhile, BC, here in the interior, we have a special weather statement now issued because the significant fall storm impacting BC interior starting today, but mostly tonight and into Wednesday. This special weather statement is good for pretty much the entirety of the interior, except for the more eastern sections. So that would be Nicola, Fraser Canyon, South Okanagan, Thompson, 100 Mile House, 97 corridor, up to 100 Mile, Chilcotin, Caribou, Prince George, Stewart, and Chaco Lakes District. This small fall storm will impact today and Wednesday. It will deepen rapidly and then curl northward on Wednesday, remaining offshore through the period. But interior areas will see easterly winds through the afternoon. Peak wind speeds for most areas will be tonight. Strong winds are likely to continue. And we saw yesterday in some of our graphs, we'll get some looks today at what we think those winds could look like. More special weather statements. This is for the more coast mountains, more or less. Lower mainland Whistler as well. BC coast has a storm forming 400 kilometers west of Vancouver Island late this afternoon. The wind warning now up along the north coast through North Vancouver Island as well. Could see 90 kilometer an hour, maybe even 120 kilometer an hour gusts of winds, folks. Very, very crazy, intense winds. Could see damaging winds even through areas such as East Vancouver Island, Sunshine Coast, maybe Victoria as well, Southern Gulf Islands. Could see 90 to 100 kilometer an hour winds there, so expect damaging winds, expect power outages, expect tie your lawn chairs down if you haven't already, put them away because Victoria, you're about to get hit. Same with down by Bowen Island, Howe Sound, 90 to 100 kilometer an hour winds there. And if we go over to the very, very west coast, we could be seeing winds up to 110 kilometer an hour gusts. So, I mean, for the most part, our experience of this storm in BC won't really be that different than a lot of the storms we've already had this season. So the development of this storm is crazy. It's concerning. It's something that can be successfully argued as a result of warmer oceans, as a result of climate change. But the atmospheric river, I think the most potent part of the storm is probably going to hit into the States, right? Into that California, like we've been talking about, that South Oregon area. So we will be getting some of this residual snow coming up from the south from that, pushing up against our cold, and it's not going to win. So we're not expecting a big story for snow. I don't think so. Yeah, we got snow coming, some. So far, not much from Environment Canada on that. Snow is coming to southern BC, some. But it's really not our story for the impact, right? We're getting kind of lucky this time in that way. So we even had some warm temperature records in Nunavut yesterday, up to 0 degrees in Baker Lake. We can see our storm is already rapidly intensifying. Just looking at these last two satellite images we have, right? Going to see some precip along the coast, sure, some scattered cumulus in behind, maybe a flash of lightning in there on the coast today, as conditions still remain fairly clear and nice here in the BC interior. Now we can see that bomb cyclone showing up later in the day, 956 millibars, it's saying here on Navigation Canada graphical area forecast maps. Still see that risk of some thunderstorms, right? Some broken cumulus and towering cumulus in behind. Broken cumulus in the parcel here. Then we see later in the day our bomb cyclone is coming in hot. It's coming in hot. Winds picking up along the coast. See that? I can't see if that's 35 or if that's 45 knots, but whatever it is, that's strong winds coming in. Still looking pretty nice in the most parts of the interior. Some broken cumulus maybe starting to show itself more and more down the south. Okay, for us in the central interior, still looking pretty good as we come into the evening. Going to be chilly tonight, definitely chilly, and we're going to see winds kind of pick up a little bit as well. I would think some of this turbulence and some of this wind will mean cancellations of small time flights, at least, some of the smaller aircraft that are flying back and forth, harbor flights and things like this. So expect some of the possible disruptions to ferries as well. Meteorologist Mark has a new article on Ingalls weather website here, ingleswx.com. What is a bomb cyclone, Mark's saying? So for everybody who's like, I'm panicking because they've never heard the term bomb cyclone before, well, we've been using it since 1980. It's existed, but we've been using it pretty commonly when it happens. It doesn't happen that often. The act of becoming a bomb cyclone is termed bombogenesis. While the term bomb cyclone has come into more common use in recent years, Mark says, its use in the meteorological community extends back for decades. Meteorologists and researchers in Norway began informally using the term in the 1940s and 50s. It reached the United States by the 1970s and first appeared in academic journals in the 1980s. This graph shows how much a low's pressure has to drop in 24 hours to qualify as a bomb cyclone. The American Meteorological Society defines it as a rapidly deepening extratropical surface cyclone. Rapid intensification is calculated using the minimum pressure of the low. While the lower pressure storms often generate stronger winds, it isn't a one-to-one comparison. Factors like the geographic size of the storm and nearby terrain also influence wind speeds. A bomb cyclone decreases 24 millibars in more than 24 hours. This was further refined to vary based on latitude. The Coriolis force, I mentioned this yesterday, the Coriolis force, which produced by the spin of the Earth, is stronger near the poles than it is near the equator. Because of this, it's easier for a mid-latitude cyclone to deepen in rapidly the further it is from the equator. So this one's a little bit further south, so it needs a little bit less of a drop to meet that bombogenesis category where it is. Where if it was up in the North Pacific, it would need probably 24. If it was more in BC waters proper, but it's coming in south of us, right? Mark has here 3 bombogenesis regions that we tend to see. One being along the Rockies. So we often have those Colorado lows and Alberta clippers. That's where they come from. And that's what the term bombogenesis in your, kind of like how you're not used to hearing atmospheric river because you hear of Pineapple Express is the word that you're used to using, right? So Alberta clipper is the word you're used to hearing. But that often refers to bombogenesis happening to a storm there, right? And then same with along the coast, right? The nor'easter. The nor'easter, well, people are like, a bomb cyclone, I never heard of that. Well, it's just a nor'easter, more or less, right? So, and same here in the Pacific.
Hey, everybody, let's say hi, Joey Only.
Happy birthday, Brandon Help.
Say hi, Joey Only.
Hi, Joe Only.
I'm Frankie Dog. You listen to meteorological weather report every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Atlantic. And Joey Only is a great podcast. It's a Caribou Weather Tool YouTube channel, Caribou Weather Tool, Joey Only. I got a lot of fans of Wells, British Columbia, and Brooks, Alberta. Brandon Helps lives in Brooks, Alberta. He's a weatherman out there. Hey, with you, Koki Bailey lives in British Columbia. Victoria, British Columbia, and Joey Only's a really nice guy, and I'm on his podcast every Thursday nights. And Joey Only used to work for Vancouver Giants, Western Hockey League team. I'm big fans of Joey Only, and Joey Only's big fans of mine. Joey Only used to work for Vancouver Giants. He's a big fan of Prince George Cougars. It's on CFUR 88.7 FM, Prince George, and CKUW 95.9 FM, and CFPX 92.5 FM, Winnipeg. It's on Rogers TV in Vancouver Island. Best luck there. I'm Frankie Dog. You're listening to Joey Only Show every Thursday night at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. To Joey Only and the boys. This is for meteorological weather report every Thursday night. Say hi, Joey Only.
So we're concerned about the snowfall into southern BC. It's not going to be very much, but yeah, there's going to be a pulse of it. And then I think Friday still, I think we're looking at the weekend when we might see a larger, and it's still from the same storm more or less, right? We may see a larger snow event. I think the prairies are going to get another round after that as well, right? And then we're still sitting in this cold air. Oh man, how come it's not showing any snow on our Long Ranger? So hopefully these models change, but it looks like it could be a little while where we're sitting in cold air. So I don't like it. Look at that cyclone. Isn't that beautiful? A couple new avalanche reports today. Again. So these things are happening out there, folks. There was 5 people in this group and only one person was involved from a convex-shaped trigger point. There was open glade near the ridge top. Slab triggered 30 meters above skier and carried them into a fence of dense trees. A fence of dense trees, I like that. They were luckily buried upright with snow to their chest. So they managed to keep themselves afloat, more or less. Due to the unconsolidated snow around trees, smaller avalanches can have large consequences right now. It would have been very hard to walk around and perform a rescue. There's the bed surface. You can see how it's very reactive, look at that. Nice. Very good diagram. Thank you for this great report. Another one as well, this one down in the southeast. So, yeah, folks, we don't have any statements Avalanche hazard may exist where there's snow. Pack a transceiver. It's all they're saying. Early season, they're not saying anything yet, folks. So you got to really be extra careful out there. You can't rely on Avalanche Canada yet. For whatever reason, I don't know why, they still don't have avalanche reports up on the site. Oh, I always hate having to click on this dot. It's the most fucking annoying thing ever. There's a couple things I'd like to see improved around here for sure. So 5 people in this group. One was partly buried. Oh, man. The first skier in the group dropped in and triggered a slab after their first run. So it was their very first run. The slope failed 100 meters across, and at its 300 feet, 328 feet, and at its steepest, 80 centimeters. The skier was pulled through some small trees and stopped about 100 meters lower after they got tangled in a tree. That could have been brutal, man. It's like you survive the avalanche, or what if you get smacked by a tree in the process? The slide continued and petered out at the bottom of the slope when it flattened out. Aside from the bump on the arm and the lost ski pole, the skier was okay. We went home after that. Yeah, you think so? Like, fuck. I think that kind of ruined the fun. They didn't even get in. They just started, and the first thing that happened was the thing started to slide. Okay, the first thing that happened. So I've been seeing a lot of pictures of people already out skiing. They're already out there going, and they're like, well, there's not that much snow yet. It's early in the season. It must be okay. Is it worth your life? Offshore bomb cyclone. For this morning, generally calm weather conditions with a few flurries continue across the ranges. An Arctic ridge beginning to track into northern BC is being felt. This afternoon, a very deep low-pressure system, a bomb cyclone, will begin to approach the coast. Snow and very strong winds will develop this evening for the south coast and Vancouver Island ranges. By Wednesday morning, snow will spread into the interior ranges as well as strong winds. Snow will persist through the day on Wednesday. Very cold temperatures settle into northern BC. By Wednesday evening night, the winds and snow will begin to ease as the low-pressure system begins to track towards the northwest. Thursday, conditions clear out across the interior ranges. However, the south coast will continue to see flurries. Thursday night, another low-pressure system begins to track into southern BC. Sun is starting to come over the trees now, so I may have to close the curtain here pretty soon because it gets so bright that it just kind of ruins the picture here. Low sitting on the Manitoba-Ontario border, the backside of it being the troublemaker for everybody there. And here's our bomb cyclone forming. You can see the close isobar is starting to squeeze in as it has to force itself against that high. The contact of the warm and the cold makes wind, as you so well know. That's going to be the case here, as that Arctic air mass is fighting against this bomb cyclone. Fighting. We're going to watch it loop around for a while. So it's going to kind of do whatever the hell it wants because it can't come in. Another low forms in below that, still dragging atmospheric river into California. Some disastrous effects, most likely there. We got into the passes in Washington, for example, and other places like that. Blizzard warnings in effect right now. Could see some snow even in New York State. And the backside of this low, whereas the front side has still got rain coming up and around, that could impact Quebec still. Maybe Ontario gets more rain than snow. Does that seem to be what this is indicating? Kind of does. I mean, you might get a few flurries in Ontario. So you can see these two guys, they're spinning down the drain together. More or less, to me, looks like the Fujiwara effect that we were talking about a few weeks ago. You know, the Fujiwara effect where lows kind of swirl around the drain together. So we'll look here in BC first. 941. This graphic has it coming down to whatever the final tally is going to be. This bomb cyclone is going to be the bomb. Going to see quite a bit of snow. I think even at lower elevations. I mean, it's cold enough. There's enough cold air that you're probably going to see that snow line come down the mountain a fair bit. Even if it doesn't come down into Vancouver itself, you won't have to look very far up the mountain to see it. And it does stay fairly strong low for quite a while, like still at 970 by the time we're into, well, it says Thursday, but that's on UTC time, so we're probably now into Thursday morning, 975, 977. So it stays a couple days pretty strong, but you can see that Arctic cold is kind of fighting us, and we don't really get the precip into southern BC we'd like. And maybe Friday, when a new one develops from this area of instability, that next one pushes on up. That'll maybe bring a little bit of snow into southern BC, maybe some big time precipitation on the coast. But, you know, we're looking at cold being the story here in BC more and more and more. And I don't like it as that low tracks through today with strong winds on this backside, big time snowfalls, rain maybe putting its way into, and you don't expect some of that to be a mix of precip, maybe even some freezing rain in some of those locations. You got that warm air sitting up a little higher and that cool air trying to sink in below. maybe see some freezing rain up in some of these places. But no, this maintains itself for a while. You're still seeing some residual effects in the northern parts of those prairies there, even into Thursday. And then you got your next guy coming, looking like Saturday and Sunday wind gusts. Big concern down there. Could see waves as tall as 6 stories even out here. 104 kilometer hour wind gusts. These aren't sustained, but Mark says 165 kilometer hour wind gusts in there. Mark says that they have hurricane force warning now put up on parts of the U.S. coast, and they haven't done that since, I think he said 2016 was the last time. Over the Great Lakes, very strong winds going on for you, and that's more or less what we don't really forecast. We try to forecast this area, up to the Yukon, and try to, secondarily forecast the West. Occasionally mention that things are happening in Ontario here in this channel. Occasionally mention that things are happening in the United States. So let's watch our wind fields pick up, try to get an idea of what we're looking at, because we know power outages, broken tree branches, things getting thrown around are all possibilities. Going to see some strong wind gusts. I would say, there you go, 7 o'clock tonight could be a good guess for when you might start seeing that inland in BC. Looks like the stronger wind gusts all through Washington State, Oregon, maybe a little bit of California. Very strong wind gusts out there. Very strong in this storm. This is going to be a real ridiculous one, man. We're a really ridiculous storm. I don't know what we're looking at already right now. Let's see. Already right now we got ship reporting 61 and 58, 76 gusts out there. So we already have some winds picking up out there. But of course the storm is just forming now. It's really just getting underway. So those wind gusts into Wednesday morning could see some power outages in the interior, could see some power outages in the prairies as well. Could see trees coming down on branches coming down on power lines and things like that. Things getting blown over. But looking very, very good chance of that. This is what's keeping the storm at bay, more or less, right? Up in Fort Nelson, looking at 24s, and even right now, it's still cold up there in Watson Lake. You're up in the Northwest Territories. There's minus 20s going on. You got 35s even in Alaska, more or less at the moment, right? So there's some really cold air out there trying to find its way in. We're gonna see the battle between our low and the cold in BC. They're going to fight each other. And you can see, the south gets moments of above zero. That's really nice for you. The north sees none of that. Could see 27 below evening at time in Fort Nelson. Maybe by the time you get to Friday morning, you're looking at 29, 30 below. Oh, it's not good. So we got this cold parcel of air that's not going to go away. And, for Prince George and Williams Lake, you're seeing lots of you're still seeing below seasonal, but you're looking at more like 8s and 10s and things like that below still. But up here in the mountains and wells, it's going to at times feel warmer, feel colder than that. And it really seems like we're in for a prolonged period, especially in northern BC. So we're talking new snow. The prairie's seeing lots, sure. You've already heard the numbers. Looking at new snow in the BC mountains by the time we get to Wednesday evening. Yeah, I mean, some. I bet you the Coca Hollow might get messy in Highway 3. Maybe even the Paulson might see some moments over the next 2 days where driving through them is gross. That's quite possible. But you can see most of that stays into that bottom southwest sector in British Columbia. Maybe on the weekend, we get a pulse that takes into southern BC mountains more. So that'll be the next thing we're talking about in a day or two here, is what will our weekend snow totals actually look like. Anyways, I talked for a long time today, and the sun's now completely on me, shining in the window as it is. That's lovely. So please hit like, share, subscribe, support the channel. I'm Joey, only madman up here in the mountains. Some days I feel really ridiculous. Some days I just don't have it in me. So much to talk about right now. Going to be a lot of content coming out on everybody who talks weather's channels and YouTubes and Twitters and Blue Skies and Facebooks and things like that. Please help us out. Please help us keep growing the channel. There's so many things I want to do still, so many things I want to expand on, improve on, and even just to make my basic needs. If you can drop a few bucks in, purchase a super, support the channel any way you can, or even consider advertising here with me. I'd appreciate that very much. All right, that's all I got to say for today, I think. Okay, that was a lot. Bye.